I'm delighted to recognize for you the people that are special guests today. We have with us the president of Concordia College, William Kraft. We have with us Greg Kant, the dean of the Offutt School of Business. We have with us Eileen Scheel, who is the wife of our speaker. And we have three gentlemen of special distinction because they're longtime partners of Steve's in the business of leading and managing the Scheel stores, Bob Allen, Robert Scheel, and Lloyd Paulson. So I hope that you'll give them a round of applause. I almost made the colossal blunder of failing to remember that my wife is also seated at this table. Her name is Marty, and I'll hear about this. So, our speaker today is no stranger to either Concordia College or this community. Steve Scheel has been a member of the Concordia College Board of Regents. He is currently a member of the Global Advisory Council for the Offutt School of Business, and he is a frequent guest lecturer on our campus. But more to the point today, Steve is one of the leading business leaders of this region. The history of the Scheel stores is one of the great free enterprise stories. Our speaker, Steve Scheel, company chair and CEO, is the great-grandson of founder Frederick A. Scheel, who in 1902, with the $300 he had earned as a summer helper on the farm, made a down payment on the first Scheel store in Sabin, Minnesota. Today, Scheels is an employee-owned company with 24 stores in 10 states, including the world's largest all-sports store located in Reno Sparks, Nevada. 5,000 associates are engaged in the delivery of high-quality and profitable service to millions of satisfied customers. When I think of the Scheels brand, several taglines come to mind, including high performance, competitive, consumer focus, high quality, and community service. And while Steve doesn't have an official tagline or brand, I think in these terms when I think of taglines that would fit. They are empowerment, integrity, generosity, and loyalty. Steve, you exemplify the neighbor-focused ethic of integrity with which we identify and to which we all aspire. So we look forward today to your remarks on the theme, Maintaining Integrity in a Competitive Environment. Please help me welcome Steve Scheel.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Dovery and Jim Legler and President Kraft for this opportunity. I want to clear from the start that when I came out of the service in 1971 and came to work for Scheels, we already had a strong culture. It was a culture of honesty and trust and respect. And I came in to work with my father and my uncles and Bob and Lloyd. This isn't something that I started. My hope is that if I ever retire, I can look back and say that I was able to continue this as we grew from 500 to 1,000 to 5,000 to 6,000 associates, as we'll have when we'll open our new store in Kansas City in 2015. I took over the company in 1990. Things were going well. In fact, they went well until 2000, 2006, 2005, 2006. In early 2005, I got a call from Steve Graham with Red Development, who we'd done work with in Omaha and Lincoln, and from Mayor Gino Martini in the city of Sparks, Nevada, and from Governor Gibbons. And the question was, would you ever like to build a store in Sparks, Nevada? And I said, where is Sparks, Nevada? It's an affluent suburb on the northeast side of Reno, and they had come together with this grand plan to build a destination development in Nevada to bring California customers across the border to spend their dollars and generate huge sales tax numbers in Nevada. I told them we really weren't interested, and they said, we'd like to come up to Fargo and talk with you. We've done our research. We've been in Nordstrom. We've been in Cabela's. We've been in Bass Pro Shop. We've been in your Scheels stores in Omaha and Lincoln and Des Moines, and you're our first choice. And I said, well, you can come to Fargo if you'd like. So they came to Fargo, and we had no intention to build a store in Sparks. And then they started discussing what they would like. Our largest store at the time was Omaha, which was about 180,000 square feet. Our Fargo store is about 160,000 square feet. And when you run a company, you've got this idea of what you'd like to do next, to take it to the next level, because my philosophy is you're never plateauing. You're either getting better or you're falling behind. And you have these plans you want to do, but it's tempered somewhat by bankers and lenders. And they opened their checkbook and said, what do you want to do? And so I kind of said, boy, this is what I like to do. And he said, it isn't enough. We'd like to have you build the world's biggest sports and sportswear store, 300,000 square feet in Reno. And we'd like to be a Disneyland of sporting goods. I said, that's going to take a lot of help. And they said, we've got the help there for you. And after a year of negotiations, I got to the point we started construction in Reno, Nevada, on a 300,000 square foot store with aquariums where scuba divers fed the fish, all kinds of attractions. Things were going well. The economy in Reno was rolling along, and because of that, construction costs were 20% higher than we expected. We expected this store to be expensive. It became wildly expensive. But we had lenders lined up behind us. We had the city and the state committed to financing a large portion of this store. And it isn't going nicely until 2007, 2008, when the economy burst. And the economy burst the loudest in Nevada. Construction prices kept going up. The contractors were fulfilling their end of the bargain. The store was taking shape. But the first people that bankers quit lending to were developers. And so the development really slowed down around us. And the second people were retailers, because developers and retailers around the country were defaulting on loans, and there was really a problem. Invoices kept coming in. By mid-2008, I wasn't sleeping very well. In fact, I was laying awake at night, month after month, looking at the ceiling, staring at the clock. I went to my doctor, and he prescribed some sleeping pills, but I didn't take them. I'd always been able to leave problems at work, but I was bringing problems home. It wasn't easy for my wife. I'd get up in the middle of the night and throw up. Even though our board had supported this project 100%, I felt totally responsible because I had led the charge. And the invoices just kept coming in. One day in 2008, early 2008, when it couldn't get any worse, an invoice came across my desk, and it was for a lot of zeros, less than it should have been. And I looked at it, and I thought for a minute, I will just pass this on quickly and pay it. But no, I lined it out. I gave it back to our construction manager, and I said, I think there's a real mistake here. Fortunately, about 30 days later, State Bank of Fargo stood behind us. They knew us well. Bankers Trust in Des Moines stood behind us, gave us a higher credit line. The bonds sold that were to finance our construction. We took a $4 million discount on those bonds just to get them sold. We opened on September 26, 2008, and I vowed that would never happen again. It was not a good experience. I was fortunate when it came to Scheels. My dad and my uncles were good mentors. I never heard my father swear. He got mad at me one time, and I really deserved it when he raised his voice. And I think if there was a picture by the word integrity in the dictionary, it'd be my dad. I also had another father. For 4 years at St. Olaf, Coach Porter was my football coach, my track coach, my hockey coach. And just like Dad, if there was a second photo by the word integrity, it'd be Coach Porter. They both had high expectations of me. I did not want to let them down. But I never heard them swear. I never heard them say anything that they wouldn't say right to somebody's face. And I kind of defied the word integrity by what you would do if no one knew you were doing it and no one found out what you did, if you did the right thing. And to me, that was Coach Porter and that was Dad. And I was so lucky to be taught and mentored by the two. And when I came into the business in 1972, there was already a thread of integrity running through our business. It was just the way it was. It's the way Dad operated, and it was sure the way my grandfather operated, and they were a great example. At Scheels, our culture is all about people. When good things happen, it's people. When people don't perform at the right level, it's people. I feel very strong about our commitment to people. We're an ESOP. We're owned by the career associates. We made that commitment to them. They do very well. If our people know we really care about them, if they know we really care about them, and will help them grow in their careers, they perform at a high level. That's how exactly I thought about Coach Porter and Dad. They had high expectations of me. I have high expectations of our people. We built a culture of integrity at Scheels, and it starts with the people we hire and we recruit. Unlike most businesses, we hire for attitude, and then we'll train for skill, because you can't train attitude. We make a real effort to go overboard in our presentations, in our offerings and jobs, our orientation, our training, our continuing education, to just give people the opportunity to do the best job they can at our business. Our goal for every single leader at Scheels, and we classify about 380 of our 5,500 employees as leaders, is to take good people who you've hired or recruited, help them become great at what they do while enjoying their work at Scheels and the people they work with. It isn't just performing well. It's helping them enjoy their career and the people they work with at Scheels. And if we can do that, we know they'll perform at a higher level. You know, we're fortunate. We're a very private company. As leaders in our company, we don't have to make any short-term decisions. Keep telling our leadership, every decision we make is for the long-term good of the company and for the long-term good of the career associates. I read a lot of statements that CEOs and chairmen make to Wall Street when they don't meet their quarterly goals. And when you know a business inside and out, you think, that's just an outright lie. That's just plain dishonesty. That's not why they're underperforming. And yet they say this, and I'm sure when they say things like that, it permeates every level of their business. There's other people in this company. What do they think of a leader that speaks like that? There's also no blame game at Scheels with our employees. If we make a mistake, we learn from it. If we make a big mistake, we celebrate it and learn from it. We want a culture where people, seriously, aren't afraid to take chances. We empower our people to the ultimate level. My peers in the business called me and said, Steve, I hear you're doing this. And I say, yeah, business is good. That's all we ever say. They say, you really do that? I said, yeah, that's kind of how we operate. You know, how can you trust this? Well, we do well because we trust our people. We give them the opportunity to make these decisions on their own. But there is no blame game. A culture of integrity is far easier to build and maintain if you take good care of your people, and they know they can trust you to have their back. There are also a select few of us at Scheels that work with developers. And just like we have a good partnership, I think, with our employees who are partners in our business, it's absolutely essential when we're looking to expand slowly that we have a good partnership with developers. And I think if you ask all the developers that we have dealt with over the last 30, 40, 50 years, they would say, a lot of them would say, you know, I don't like what they told me, but they were perfectly honest with me. And that's more than I can say for some developers. In fact, I've got a couple of developers I've told over the last couple of years, please don't ever call me again because I can't trust what you say. And I'm looking to have a partnership with someone I can trust. When we do new deals in towns such as Reno and Omaha and Springfield and Salt Lake and now Overland Park, Kansas, these developers don't know Scheels. We do not talk to the media. We do not give any interviews. It's fun to read some of the publications to see what they're guessing about our company. It really is, and we kind of just smile and shake our heads. But a lot of times they don't know us, and we had a piece of land in Salt Lake that we really wanted. We really wanted this piece of land, and a fellow named Mike Lillenquist had this piece of land. His grandfather came over and bought the best tracts of land along the interstate of course, would be the interstate in Salt Lake, and he owned this piece of land. And I finally convinced Mike to meet me in our Reno store. And I'll never forget what happened. He was going to meet me out in front just before the store opened, and I walked out, and I could see him and his two sons, John and Chad, standing there, and I walked out, and I looked at him, and he was obviously the oldest of the ones, and I stuck out my hand, and I said, "Mike, look, Steve Scheel, it's good to meet you." And he held on my hand for just a second. And he said, "You know, I've done a lot of research since you called me a month ago. And I was told by a number of different developers if there was ever anyone with whom I could just do a deal on a handshake, it'd be you, and that's the reason I'm here." And partnerships go a long ways, not with just our employers, but with our developers and with others. It also goes a long way in our business with vendors. We have the largest selection of inventory of any retailer I study. We track about 2.5 million items in real time. We buy from over 3,000 different vendors, and you have to have a good relationship with vendors. It's amazing how many retailers don't. Every now and then a vendor will knock on my door after meeting with our buyers in our buying office, and they'll say, "Steve, I just want to tell you how much we appreciate your company and the fact you pay your bills on time every time." He said, "That is so rare." You know, our freight rooms are expected to report both shortages and overages. In the retail business, you get shipped less than you order sometimes. We pay for what we receive. And you get shipped more than you order sometimes. And I think if you went through and asked the freight crews in our 24 stores what's expected of them, we're expected to pay for exactly what we receive, or if we don't want the excesses, we send them back. But there's no just keeping them like most retailers do and putting them on the floor. That's not our culture. There are also monetary benefits from dealing with vendors such as this. We're the first ones in the country that get called when sporting goods vendors or footwear vendors or clothing vendors have new products or excesses. I got a call from Adam Peake at Under Armour about 2 weeks ago, and Steve says, "You're the only retailer in the country we're giving our new UA 39 Fit device to just because of our relationship with Scheels." And it isn't because of me, but it's because of the culture of Scheels and what we expect of our people and how our buyers work with the buyers in Baltimore at Under Armour. I've also been on bank board for 32 years, starting in 1981. And it's just amazing to me when I read about the histories and read the financial information about some of these companies that the half-truths and the lack of total transparency in the information they provide to the banks. There's one thing that Dad and the others I work with taught me. It said, be 100% honest with the auditors and the bank people. If you don't perform well, explain what you learned and where you're going from here. But it's black and white. What you see is what you get. And just like with vendors and with customers and with associates, we have to have a great relationship with bankers. If we don't, boy, the future is not going to be as good as it is for Scheels. And another 2008, I'm convinced is going to happen. It's just that when it does, I want to make sure that we've got those bankers standing behind us that can trust us. Some of the most interesting partnerships, another aspect of our business, is our relationship with cities and counties and school boards and state governments. Because we do no interviews, because we will not give interviews, it's against our policy at Scheels to tell anybody what we do. We go into a place like Overland Park, Kansas, where I've been traveling the last year, because that's where we're going to build our new store in 2015. We chose Overland Park over about 8 other cities, but Mayor Gerlach and City Manager Bill Ebel knew nothing about Scheels. And so my first meeting with them about a year ago, I simply said, you know, you don't know Scheels, and I know you get all sorts of stories from business leaders, but I'd like to have you just call Mayor Tom Dolan in Sandy, Salt Lake, and Economic Development Director Nick Dirksen in Sandy, and Governor Gary Herbert in Utah, and just talk to them and see what they say about Scheels. And if you need a second opinion, call Mayor Gino Martini in Sparks, Nevada, and City Manager Sean Carey and Jim Gibbons, who used to be the governor, and talk with them. Well, they did, and then they put the whole staff at Overland Park on a plane, the city planner, the building instructors, the farmer, and flew them to Sandy to see our stores and talk with the people in Sandy, Salt Lake. And I am told it's the first time in history the city council has come back and voted 11-0 to give us the financial incentives that we were looking for. And it was just because of the culture at Scheels. You know, In 1987, when I did our first deal, my Uncle Chuck gave me the lease to do in Grand Forks, North Dakota. We were going to build our first Scheel store, and went up there and met with the developer. He said, if you want to be in the development, sign here. And so I signed and gave away millions over the term of a lease. And now it's kind of fun because all these cities are coming to us when they see what's going on. And I give them the sheet of paper, and I said, well, if you'd like us, sign here. But we've earned that. Our people have earned that, and it's fun. I mean, we get millions upon millions from, because when we go into a community, we promise, this is what we'll generate as far as sales, which translates into sales tax. This is what we'll employ as far as people at the highest salary and benefits in retail by over $15,000 a person. And these are the incentives we need. But after the city of Overland Park and Mayor Gerlach and City Manager Bill Ebel, an ex-Marine who was looking at every move you make, when they looked at Scheels and talked to people, they felt very comfortable recommending to their city council. And it wasn't the attorneys or anybody else. It was our culture and the way we've operated for the last 40, 50 years that said, yes, we will do that. And we are going to build them a store beyond what we promised. We're going to have more jobs than we promised, and we're going to generate far more sales tax than we promised. So next time we go, whether it's to Dallas, Texas, or Denver, or wherever, I can say, call Mayor Gerlach and call Bill Ebel in Overland Park and just talk to them about our promises. Then finally, our customers. We have a guarantee right over the door in every one of our Scheels stores that says, everything you buy at Scheels, on sale or otherwise, is guaranteed satisfactory, your money back. You don't ever take a chance at Scheels. But it isn't just the guarantee. It's my goal, and one that I've been pushing through the company, is we want to be the best retailer in the United States in the eyes and minds of our customer. And we're not there yet in a lot of markets, but we're getting better all the time. And I think when we offer the customer service we do, when we're completely honest with our customers, when we take back any product that we sell, we'll take back products that our competition sells. If they have a problem with them, we sell them. We've been able to develop a good partnership with our customers, which is so important to us. In a new market like Overland Park, when we opened on June 27th of 2015, if we can get those customers in Scheels for the one time, if they've never been in a Scheels store, I'm convinced they'll come back because of the way they're treated. I'm certain when I came to, or when a customer walked in Scheels in 1902, when they're basically two Scheels employees, there was a thread of integrity that ran through the company at that time. And I'm just so fortunate today to be surrounded by 5,500 plus associates. I really think live and breathe our culture. It's just a joy to me. The last thing I want to say is, I don't think it's possible for someone with a strong faith to operate a company any other way. I can't understand how a person with a strong faith could be deceptive with developers, could be deceptive about their people, could be deceptive with their bankers. It just isn't possible. I think some of you know we put our faith on display in many things we do. It's Merry Christmas between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And we have our people in the corporate office calling stores to make sure they're saying Merry Christmas when they answer the phone. We run ads at Christmas time wishing our customers Merry Christmas from all of us at Scheels. If you traveled any Scheels store in 10 states or 24 locations, you would find 4 presidents out in front of the store. There's George Washington, there's Abraham Lincoln, there's Thomas Jefferson, there's Ronald Reagan, but next to them is a plaque. And the plaque is what God meant to those presidents in their life. Maybe we'll get someone to think about their religion, about their faith. At Easter, we run ads about the joy of salvation. At Christmas, we run ads, basically message to our customers about Christ and his birth and the joy in that. And at Thanksgiving, we either have a proclamation by Lincoln or a proclamation by George Washington that includes what God meant to them in their life. And that's important to us, and it's going to continue. In fact, Mayor Gerlach in Overland Park commented when he walked into the Sandy store, he just loved to stand there and read those. He says, this will be good. This will be good. So I'm surrounded by great people. I owe a lot to the 3 gentlemen at my table that mentored me and taught me and got me focused in the right direction, and I just want to thank you so much for coming.
Steve has agreed to take some questions, so we encourage you to think what you'd like to hear more about from Steve. And while you're waiting, on that first question, I just want to give you one anecdote. It's really a complaint, Steve, and you are here today. I'm sure among other things, you're open to hearing customer complaints. So my complaint is, 20 years ago, I bought a windscreen jacket. It says Scheels on it, and it never wears out. And my wife is getting tired of it. What should I do?
We'll get you a new one. It'll have our new logo, and it'll probably be updated.
All right.
It'll make him look 10 years younger, too.
I could use that. Okay. We do have a question here. Bruce Furness, why don't you stand up?
Steve, customer service is a big hallmark of Scheels. And I know you talked a little bit about training and education of your staff. Could you just expand a little bit about what you do in the university that you have?
Sure. We spend a lot of time on continuing education. It doesn't matter if a person's been with us for 2 months or 20 years. And we have the lowest turnover that I know of in retail. A career associate's about 7% a year, which is extremely low. But we have a university training facility in Lanesboro, Minnesota. It's probably the most beautiful area in Minnesota. The river runs through it. We've got dormitories, kitchens, high ropes courses, rifle ranges, bike ranges. And what we do is, like right now, we just finished our bike university training. What we do is if we fly all our people in from around the country, they show up there on Sunday night. We give them a test, the same test they're going to get on Friday when they leave. They've got to score 95% on that test in order to talk to you about bikes. And then we start Monday morning, truck shows up, specialized, all our bike people show up, and we live and breathe bikes and customer service for that entire week. When a person comes back, and they go wide open, it isn't 8 hours a day. It's especially if it's a camping university where they live in the tent and live by the campfire and cook the freeze-dried food. But for bikes, it's basically you put it up, you ride it, you tear it apart, you give it to the next person. They set it up, they ride it, they tear it apart, you're quizzed on it. But then there are a lot of, okay, what happens if the customer comes in with this complaint? What happens if a customer is looking for this on a bike? And I'm convinced that when our people come back from there, not only our new associates, but those who have been with us for 20 years, because bikes change every year, skis change, the shoes you wear change every day, the designs change. They are just about as more qualified than anybody to talk to you about that product, and a lot of that training every single day is our expectations. We fire a certain problem. This is going to happen in the store. It's going to happen this year. How are you going to handle it? So it isn't just, please and thank you with eye contact. It's, okay, when this happens, you'll be ready because we're going to test you on it on Friday. So.
Okay, we have Mel.
Okay, this should be interesting. He's a classmate of mine from 65 at Fargo Central.
And the question I was going to ask, Steve, is just to ask for some commentary from you on the trends you've seen since 1965 in our nation when it comes to traditional values. The message that you have for us today is very fascinating because integrity and core values that have characterized our nation with the 4 presidents you mentioned is so missing today in so much of the public discourse. What trends have you seen since 1965, and why are you so convinced it's right to be a mouthpiece for traditional values?
Well, thanks, Mel. We don't have enough time. And don't get me started. But no, I can't do much about what's going on in the county or the city or the state or the government, but I can have some control over what happens about Scheels. And it's interesting when we interview people because if we're looking for an archery manager in a store, we don't look for someone that really knows archery. We look for somebody that has a great attitude, wants to be part of our team, and we'll teach them what they need to know about archery. They've got to have some interest. But along with that, we're looking for people that have the same value as we do. And we have a pretty intensive interview where a person will usually sit through 1, thumbs up, 2, thumbs up, 3, thumbs down, gone. you know, 3 or 4 interviews before we'll bring them on board, but they have to share pretty much in our values, you know, and we can't mandate that, but I think it's one of the advantages we have over the competition, that sometimes the competition is so politically correct, and I think anyone out there that knows me personally knows that's the farthest thing from my mind.
I have one question here from Christopher from Sweden, one of our students at Concordia.
Okay.
Hi. You talked about maintaining a good relationship with vendors, and I thought about, in a very global world where you have to communicate with people from different cultures and have different communication styles, how do you differentiate between maybe problems when it comes to ethical values and just different ways of communicating, and how do you prioritize them, and how do you know what to pursue in ways of transmitting those values contrary just communication styles that just comes from those cultures that you can't really change?
Sure. That's a good question, because we are dealing more and more. We have a number of our products are made in the Orient right now. But when they come off the assembly line, there's some right at the very end standing there and saying, no, okay, now you can run it. I think when a vendor first starts dealing with, it usually isn't the owner, it's usually a rep that is calling us, a vendor's representative. And if it's the first time they've called on us, it doesn't take them long to understand that this is how Scheels works. If you fit in, great. If you don't, great. We've had representatives that have called on us. I remember one in particular when I was a buyer. I think I went to my dad and I said, this guy isn't honest with me. What's he doing? He said, well then, Dad, he said, Steve, call the company and tell me you want a different rep. And we'll do that on a regular basis. I tell our buyers, you know, here's how we work. I expect our buyers to be tough negotiators on price, on conditions, on terms, on freight. I expect them to be perfectly honest with the people they deal with, and I expect those people to be perfectly honest with us. And that isn't in some cultures. You are right. I mean, it just isn't. But I think once they start working with us, if we find a person that isn't like that, I tell our buyers, because they'll ask me, and I say, let me call the CEO or the owner of that company, just talk to them, and we'll get a different rep calling us in Fargo, because it's that important to us.
Okay, we have John Andreessen.
Thank you. There are many of us in this room that have been impacted by the influence and by the contributions that you have made, both personally serving on boards or with charitable gifts, to different dimensions of life in our community, and I'm sure in a variety of other communities where you have stores. Would you like to comment on the challenges related to making decisions about charitable gifts?
Sure. Well, thank you, John. There's no end to the requests, and you know, we have a policy where we give back a percentage of our profits in every store to the local community. And by the local community, I mean, you know, we're not interested in funding something in Atlanta, Georgia, or in China, but we have a policy that Scheels, this is what we give back at the local community. And we get a lot of requests. They come past our board if they're more than $10,000. The stores. A store like our Fargo store will give away about $400,000 on their own to people that call on them, and then we also have means by which they can come. Any store where there be a store, we built a soccer complex in Great Falls, Montana. We built a homeless shelter in Iowa City, Iowa. We built a children's museum in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, where those stores can come to us, and they have to commit to a certain percentage of the gift out of their store, and the leadership in that store has to commit to a certain percentage of the gift, and then we will step in at the corporate level and give the rest. But we really aren't focused on any particular group of people. It's just that it has to be local, and we all have to agree it'll do good in the community. I think one thing that Dad always says is when we do well, we'll do good in the community, and that's kind of still our motto. Yeah.
Other questions? Oh, we got one over there. Good.
Uh-oh, Jerry.
Oh, he knows him. That's could be.
How did your strategy of not giving media interviews begin, and why do you continue it?
Well, thank you. It's simple. I've always told our people we work harder than smarter in the competition, and why would we want to tell them anything? And I'm serious. I walk into the Cabela. There's a great Cabela store in Kansas City. There's a great Pass Pro shop in Kansas City. And I walked in there and I ate at the restaurant and I asked the people questions and they answered every single question I asked. Of course, they didn't have a clue who I was, but they asked every single question I asked. And It's interesting because a publication called Sports Insight just came out. And it rated it said the Power 12, the 12 major sporting goods players in the United States, and of course Scheels is listed there. And they start out by saying, Scheels is a very private company, and they underline very, and gives no interviews. Then they went in to talk about the test tracks for bikes that we have around our stores, and we've never had a test track for bikes around our stores, and I mean, they're just guessing. But no, our philosophy is we'll learn as much as we can about the competition, but we give no interviews. You know, we think what we do really well, and why would we want to talk to, you know, there are a lot of doctors and farmers and stuff that are looking for investments, and I remember one time a doctor called me. He was thinking about opening a bike shop in one of our town. He wondered if me I'd talk to him about the bike business. And I said, I'm sorry, we don't talk about our business. We're very private. And for the sake of our employees, who are our owners, you know, we just don't talk about it. Yeah.
Good. Any other questions?
Okay.
Oh, we got one over here. Doug Burgum.
Hi, Doug.
Steve, the consensus wisdom was that online retailing would kill retailers, and it has had a big impact on a number of retailers. Scheels has defied that trend, continues to prosper. You've shared some of the success today, but give us some more insights about the strategy to
Good question.
Be counter to everything that
Good
everybody
question.
predicted.
And unlike most things we do, we're tiptoeing into it. Most things, I keep telling people, unless we go full bore ahead, we don't know what the potential is. I think full bore ahead in online retailing would be a disaster for us. And I think my number one answer is we're doing so well in our bricks and mortar store. We're doing so well in bricks and mortar because our stores are so different. When we open this store in Kansas City, there's going to be nothing like it in the world. You walk into our store in Salt Lake that opened on September 24th last year, and you can watch a scuba diver feeding fish in the tanks you walk through. You can bowl in the corner. You can have fresh fudge. You can have a Starbucks coffee. You can ride on the Ferris wheel. You can shoot in the shooting simulator. You can have your photograph taken with a giant shark or a Kodiak bear. And then another thing we've learned, we'll separate women from the men, because if we can get the women in their shops, they spend a lot of money if the man's tagging along. So we've really built a store that it used to be, we've got 94 cameras in our Reno store and in our Salt Lake store. And what they do, they're there for loss prevention, but we can track customers. And before we built stores of this magnitude, customers used to be in our store for 20, 22 minutes. They'd come in, they'd buy their product, they're gone. Now on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we can tag customers and they walk in, when they walk out, and it's over 2 hours and 26 minutes on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Average person's in the store. So we are doing so well at bricks and mortar, and our board debates this all the time. We have almost 100,000 items online now. We're working with vendors, a lot of direct ships where they order it from us, but Danner Boots or Oakley will send it directly to the customer, and we're slowly getting into it, but I get a profit and loss statement for that particular portion of our business, just like I do everything else every month, and there's no reason to jump in head first yet. So.
Steve, could you speak on developing leaders within your organization and what you look for in your leaders?
Mm-hmm. I think the most difficult thing about leadership is, of the 380 people we'd classify as leaders at Scheels, and you manage things, you lead people. Of the 380 people at Scheels, there aren't 10 that has formal leadership training. We have 4 textbooks that we use now for leadership. One, I think, thanks to Jim Legler, wherever he is. Yeah, Jim, he gave me a book, If Aristotle Ran General Motors. That has been instrumental in our growth in our leadership training over the years. But it's difficult because most people, when they don't have this training, how do they lead? They lead by what comes naturally. And what comes naturally is dead wrong in most cases. They don't care about the people. They don't understand the people. Now they're all powerful, man. They're a leader, and they're going to do things my way. No, that's not how you lead. You lead by empowering, teaching, coaching. That journey never ends, and it's a real struggle. We have we call assistant leadership universities, where every week, and we rate our assistant store leader. A store leader at Scheels will have a store leader, and then they'll have anywhere from 12 to 24 assistant store leaders. They're the people you see in white. We rate them from a 1 to a 10 every year. We'll have a class for 3s and 4s. the newer ones. We'll bring them into Fargo, and for a week, we just teach them how to lead people. All aspects of leading people, from interviews to terminations, if they have to terminate somebody. Then we'll bring in the 8s and 9s, those that we think maybe have the possibility to lead a Scheel store down the road, and we'll teach them about the next level of learning how to lead people. But it's, and then we rate them. Our people rate them every year anonymously. They rate every leader they work with. And you use those ratings, which are black and white, they're right there. You know, here's where you're falling down, you're not communicating well. And we can do a better job. But we're getting there. We've made huge strides the last 4 or 5 years in that real struggle to lead people so they become great at what they do and they really enjoy, you know, working with us.
By the way, Steve, we still use that. Everybody in the business department, or this Office School Business, reads that same book by Morris, If Aristotle read General Motors.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And the other ones, too. What other ones? You have 4 books that you generally have?
We have 4 books, basically. Good to Great by Jim Collins. Execution by Ram Charan. If Aristotle ran General Motors. And then, what's the other one by Jim Collins? Yes.
Built to Last.
Yeah, Built to Last.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are the 4 we use. And they're really textbooks. It is,
right.
You know, our people say, okay, I read it, what do I do next? No, you don't read it. You study it. It's a textbook. I send out staff meeting agendas, start of every month, that takes maybe pages 105 to 109, and if Aristotle ran General Motors, okay, now, here's how it applies to our business. Here are the questions related to our business. Now, our staff meetings are 6 o'clock until 8:45 every Tuesday morning, every store. This week, that's what they're studying. So, yeah, we still use that.
Very good. Yeah, and it talks about how you apply truth, goodness, beauty, unity to your organization. That's a very good thing. Okay, very good. Any other? Oh, got a question over there.
Yeah, Steve, another book you might check out is called The Experience Economy, and because what you're selling is not just goods, you're selling the experience of going to a Scheel store, just for food for thought. But my question is related to, you know, you mentioned, and it's almost, you know, endemic, that when you go to buy clothing or, you know, sporting goods or whatever, so much of it is made in the Orient or maybe in Mexico or other places. Is there a strategy related to maybe buying and specializing in some areas where we make it here in the United States and then promoting that, you know, within your retail setting?
Yeah, that's a good question, Dennis, and I think it's almost a pie-in-the-sky dream right now. We always tell our buyers, if there is a product made in the United States and it's neck and neck, you choose that product. A lot of the firearms companies are here in the United States still. You know, we buy their products. A lot of socks are still made in the United States. But you get away from, we break our stores into 24 different specialty shops, and we track the sales and the profitability of every one of those specialty shops. But there are very few products. You know, I was just amazed. I walked through the North Face shop we set up last year, and it was, you know, Vietnam, China, Indonesia, Malaysia, Mexico. It's impossible to find a product. And we go to shows, and cutlery is another one. You know, cutlery and sunglasses, where a lot of those are made in the United States, but it's tough right now. Okay. Thanks again.
Thanks again, Steve. Steve, I just wanted to say that among the other qualities of your presentation today was your attention to detail. I think we're all used to hearing speeches, particularly speeches about values and ethics, that are long on principles but short on detail. And the reality is that principles come to life in detail. And so one of the things I particularly appreciated about Steve today is that we got the detail, not just the principle, but the detail. So that's a very commendable quality of this presentation. I thought, as I was listening, I thought about Coach Porter, and I thought about Father Fred Scheel. And I'm imagining that from their celestial throne, they're observing with great satisfaction the work and the leadership that you're providing. I'm sure they're saying, well done, well done. Thank you, Steve Scheel. Now, a word about coming attractions. If you are around on April 27th, Bill Gates will be here for the grand opening and dedication of the Offutt School of Business. So stay tuned for that. Look for opportunities to find tickets for that, and may you have good luck in doing so. Also, we have on May 10th, the last in this year's series of luncheon events, and that will feature Christy Offutt, the CEO of the Offutt Equipment Company, speaking on the subject, Building and Sustaining a Responsible Corporate Culture. I call attention to the fact that there will be a new location. It will be the Berry Auditorium, which is part of the Offutt School of Business. There is ample parking, and so I hope you will be available and interested and will be able to join us on May 10th for that event. We're working on a schedule for next year. In fact, we had a committee meeting this morning on that subject. We welcome your suggestions, invite them, so please let us hear from you about what you have an interest in, who you would like to hear from in this community or beyond it. And also, we keep getting inquiries and people say, we'd like to be on your mailing list. Well, we'd like to have you on our mailing list too. So if you aren't, let us know. And if you know others that you think would be interested in what's going on here, let us know so that we can get the word out. Thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.